when I push back on they should glide through the East.
Yes.
Should.
Yes.
But I still have questions.
Yes.
You do too.
Without question. I was asked earlier, who do I see beating them? And it's like, or who's the biggest threat? Like anybody. Look at Miami did it last year. You could make the argument that the Boston Celtics have had the most talented team for the last 3 years running. And there is no question that that's the case this year.
Yeah, this year's no question.
No question. And yet, do we believe in them in the postseason? And why, for the last 2 years, haven't they been able to get it done? And most important, have they solved the issue that kept them from winning it the previous 2 years? Does Drew Holiday solve that issue? I don't think he does. Does Kristaps Porzingis solve that issue? I don't think he does, because it's still going to be with a game on the line, and more often than not in the playoffs, it comes down to this. One possession at the end of the game, who's going to win it for me? Who am I giving the ball to and say, get me something?
Yeah, the NBA.
It's going to be Jason Tatum.
And we mostly trust him.
And sometimes he does get it done.
Yeah.
Look, he doesn't have that eye of the tiger. I trust Jalen Brunson or Damian Lillard
to hit the shot,
to make the play with all the marbles, the middle of the circle. Boy, did I date myself there. Then I do Jason. Until I see otherwise. I've seen it in moments, but I also seen him, and it's not just a matter of whether you make the shot or you miss the shot. It's, are you aggressively looking to get that shot? Do I feel like you want to take that shot?
Yeah, with Brunson, I always feel that.
Absolutely. With Damian, prior to Milwaukee, I always felt that. With Steph, I feel that. With any number of guys that have won championships, I've felt that. I have not felt that with Tatum. There are times where he defers or his game's not rolling, and then he decides it's not my night. Well, you don't have that choice if you're the best player on the team to say, I'm taking this one off.
So sometimes bad news long-term can be good news. Giannis's injury.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Milwaukee loses.
Okay. With the Celtics, here's the thing. Is there pressure for them, for Jason Tatum and the Celtics to win it all? I think there is, but if I'm a big Celtics fan and I'm a big Jason Tatum fan, you have to recognize that in basketball, and I've been beating this drum a lot lately because we're, talking about playoffs and winning and all that, is that it takes time to win championships. Outside of you being drafted to an amazing situation, like, and the best example of this will always be Magic Johnson to the Lakers with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. All of these stars, it takes years for them to win. Whether it's Michael Jordan, LeBron, Steph, they don't do it when they're 23, 24. It's not the norm, even for these mega superstars. LeBron James, whether you think he's the GOAT or not, he's obviously one of the greatest basketball players to ever walk the face of this earth. Okay? That's indisputable. He didn't win his first championship until he was 27 years old. And that roster was stacked with two bona fide Hall of Famers in their prime, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and a future Hall of Fame coach with a Hall of Fame GM, and a Hall of Fame coach, whatever. He's the GM now or whatever the heck his official title is. I don't know if he's the president of operations or how that works. But anyway, and Tatum's only 26 years old. He just turned 26 in March. So he's been 25. So he is still very young. So if he won a championship, then he's winning at a faster rate than the LeBron James. So it's what are we saying then? That if he doesn't win, then that's a failure? Or that it was a failure that he didn't win when he was 23, 24, 25? That's not easy to do. We know it's not easy to do because LeBron James didn't even do it. So I just think that you have to kind of give some of that grace. He's floated around with multiple head coaches now at this point as well. different pieces. If he doesn't win in the next couple of years, then I could understand it. Then I think maybe that pressure or some of the calling him out is appropriate. And I get some of I get all of the criticisms and complaints thrown Jason Tatum's way. I wish we didn't associate it with weakness, that he's weak. Because he's not this over-the-top alpha dog, like, give it to me, it's my team, my ball, my this, my that. I get it. Sometimes that's great, and sometimes you need that, and that's how some people lead, but that's not how everybody is, and that's not how Jason Tatum is, and I wish we celebrated those players more, rather than glorify some of these other players who we know maybe they're alphas, but they're also jerks. And that's why, part of the reason why I like Jason Tatum so much is because I think he's fundamentally a good person, wants to succeed, and, clearly really cares. He is one of, the small percentage of players that truly, loves this game and wants to play and wants to win, wants to compete. He could have ran away from the Celtics. He could have done all these things, but, he wants to be there. He wants to play, and he wants to win a championship. So I don't think we should lose sight of that. And he's a great player. I mean, but again, what are we saying? So he didn't win a championship when he was 24 years old? And that means he's, can't handle the moment, or that he's not good enough? I reject that. I really, really do. And now he has a new team with new pieces. And, LeBron James didn't win his first year when he had all these new pieces with a new coach. And, and that's similar to what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is, for that matter, adding a Drew Holiday and Porzingis and, a couple of these other pieces, and also losing some pieces that he had grown up with and played with, those things matter. It really, really does. And so I just think that, there should be some grace given his way, and even the Celtics as a whole. But here's my big caveat. If they lose and don't make it, outside of Joel Embiid going on a tear, right? And I've already made my Joel Embiid video and the Sixers video, but outside of Joel Embiid going on a tear, because the Sixers are, and again, I'm not going to go talk all about the Sixers because I've already made that video. They have been one of the best, if not the best team when Joel Embiid was playing this season. I think their record was like 38-7 or whatever it was. They've just been absolutely dominant. Embiid was going to win the MVP, all that. So if they're able to recapture that, and the Celtics lose to the Sixers and Embiid and all that, and Embiid's putting up 30+ points a game and is just so dominant, you just have to say, dude, the Sixers had it. They finally put the piece together. Embiid finally got some help. He finally got a good coach. Tyrese Maxey, who's 23, is starting to come into his prime. Not yet, but he's getting better and better and better each game. And you got to tip your hat to that. And there's just, that just is what it is. But if they lose to the Miami Heat, if they lose to the New York Knicks, if they lose to the Milwaukee Bucks, then I would say that's bad. That's not a good look. And if they now get out of the East, and now they're in the finals, if they lose to anyone, but I feel like I just want to say the Nuggets, because the Nuggets have the experience. Like, if they lose to OKC, if they lose to the Timberwolves, unless Cat says, I'm a vet, I am here, or if Ant truly becomes like the next face of the league and is just now, it's his time to go on his dynastic run, and they just tear off 3 out of 4, 3 out of 5 championships or whatever, outside of those situations, then it's like, if the Celtics lose to the Nuggets, I think it's okay. But if they lose to the Timberwolves and lose to OKC, it's like, that's a worse look, because those are also young ascending teams. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you're more the veterans now. You should be able to beat those teams at that point. You should be better. You should have been able to handle this moment better. Again, unless Chet Holmgren ends up being better than Wembanyama, and SGA is going to go on a Steph Curry run, or, again, Ant is like, again, I am here, I am Kobe, let's go, and he three-peats. Like, outside of that, and then it's a disaster. Then it is not good for the Celtics. I would give potentially the benefit of the doubt if the Celtics say they lost to the Lakers or the Warriors, because if they won, that means Steph and Clay and all them were shooting the lights out of the ball, and it's like, dude, they have their dynasty. They are the most recent dynasty. They were able to put it together. Steph is Hall of Famer, one of the best players to ever do it, yada, yada, yada. And same thing if they lost to the Lakers, you would say, dude, LeBron James, one of the greatest players ever to play in the history of the world. And, if he won another championship at this roster and was a leader and was the MVP, you could then maybe truly crown him as potentially the GOAT at that point. And so, again, it's like, I don't know if you could hate the Celtics too much for that, quite honestly. But if they lost to like the Clippers or the Mavericks or the Suns, I'm just, then I could see that pressure starting to crumble the Celtics and that organization from within, or people would really start to have some serious questions about Tatum or just the Tatum, Jaylen Brown kind of dynamic duo that they've had. But I'm not anticipating that. I think that if the Celtics can get past the Sixers or just get out of the East in general, I think that they could beat pretty much any team out west. I think the Nuggets would maybe have their number, but this is also coming from a person who doesn't necessarily think that the Nuggets are this most dominant juggernaut powerhouse of a team. I think, it was a little misleading, the Nuggets run, because it was good timing for them that they're starting to ascend and they now kind of already went through their growing pains, while the other teams were either too old, the Warriors, the Lakers, or the other teams were too young, OKC and the Pelicans and the Timberwolves. And so it was perfect timing for them. And then they got to play the Miami Heat, and the Miami Heat should not have been there. Okay. They got to go up against Giannis when Giannis was banged up and injured and he already missed a couple games. And they got past the Sixers when Embiid was injured. Surprise, surprise. No. Sorry, I'm going back too far in time. That was a couple years ago. And then they got past the Celtics, and again, the Celtics do what the Celtics do, I suppose. But that Miami Heat were not a championship contender team. I mean, they weren't even close to being on the level of the Denver Nuggets. I mean, that wasn't even a fun series to watch. And the truth is that I think gave more of this idea of look how dominant the Nuggets are. They swept the Lakers, even though, as Chris Broussard said it was like I think he said it was like a gentle sweep or a soft sweep or a close sweep, because it was a sweep, but a lot of those games were close, and Jamal Murray had to play out of his mind and to get that sweep. And so then they now win the championship handily against the Heat, and it was just like the Heat barely were able to put up a fight. And I think it's clear that the Nuggets may not really be as much of a juggernaut as we maybe had originally thought, because they're not even in first. They don't even have the first seed, the number one seed, and the top three teams at the top, the OKC, the Timberwolves, and the Denver Nuggets, like they all practically have the same record. So it's not like they were able to pull away. So I don't really know what to think of the Denver Nuggets at this point. I really, really don't. I could easily see them not making the finals, but if they made the finals, and I'm not necessarily betting against them, they're the safest bet because they have not only the talent, but they have the experience and the youth. These other teams don't have that. They either are too young, so they don't have the experience, or they have the experience, but they're too old. So it's such a mixed bag, this playoffs, and I love it. I'm so excited because I have no idea. I mean, if you said, dude, you got to predict all these series, I really genuinely can't. I really, really can't, because it's just so hard to tell. I really have no idea. And that's what makes, that's why I really think that these playoffs have the potential to be some of the most exciting playoff series that we've had in a really, really long time. So if you're a basketball fan, we got some great basketball coming up, and I truly can't wait. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Do you think there's a lot of pressure on the Celtics? And do you think Jason Tatum and the Celtics can win it all? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm, and it helps combat all the haters and the trolls. Thank you so much, and see you next time.